Neopets, the darkest fairy.
All right, good morning, everybody. I have a treat for you all. This is Neopets, the darkest fairy. We're gonna be running any percent. If you've never heard of this game before, which is probably most people, this is a 3D action adventure game released on the PS2 in 2005 that coincides with the Flash game that most of you are probably familiar with. This game is really cool. It's got this open world concept to it, and it's a really underrated gem on the PS2 library, and we are going to absolutely dismantle it. And so to help me explain all of the ridiculous nonsense that's going to go on, I'd like to introduce some of my friends that are behind me.
Yeah. All right, my name is Nestani. I've actually ran this game a couple times. I learned it for the 12-hour challenge. Very happy to be here.
Hey, my name is Tempystral. I'm a new runner of the game, and graphic design is my passion.
And I am Ruby, or corundumcore, and I am really excited to talk about Neopets this entire run. Go ahead and get those $5 donation trains going. Tell us what your favorite Neopets species is.
Yeah, and last and hopefully certainly not least, I am Jaxler. I'm gonna be your runner today. I think we're pretty much good to get started. Y'all ready? All right, time is gonna begin in 3, 2, 1, go.
You got this, bud.
Thank you. All right, so welcome to Neopets, the Darkest Fairy, everybody. This run is going to start off with our first of 2 playable characters, Tor. He is a loop species of Neopet, and his dream is to become a knight. Becoming a knight is really, really slow, so we're just gonna skip all of it. So, at the very start here, we're going to do an out of bounds pretty much immediately to skip a mandatory tutorial. And I'm just gonna jump backwards, grab this ledge, and we're just gonna go this way. And so as you'll notice, in just about 2 seconds here, we are cataclysmically out of bounds here. And so whenever,
What's up for that?
whenever you're out of bounds in this game, there is a massive invisible floor at y=0, which is like way below the crust of the earth. And so this goes infinitely. And so we can just run on this for however long we want. However, you're gonna notice that things aren't really properly loading around us. So in order to get around that issue, we're gonna do a technique called upwarping. This is when there is something above you while you're on this invisible floor that the game thinks you should be standing on. So as a result, it'll teleport you on top of it so that you can hopefully get back in bounds, but that's not what we're gonna do. Instead, we're gonna make use of the fact that this game is going for like a contiguous open world, and the fact that there are all these loading zones around here which will load different parts of the map. So we can actually use these upwarps to maintain being out of bounds in order to load in places that we're not supposed to be able to go to yet. So you saw me do one upwarp right there. That's gonna load in Meridal Outskirts, and you're gonna see me do another one up here. This is gonna start to load in Shadow Glen Woods here. This is our next primary destination after skipping the tutorial and saving about 30 minutes or so on casual play. Not because we need to be here. This is actually a part of the main quest that we can pretty easily skip. But there's something very important here that we want that's gonna be super crucial for the next couple of minutes of the run. So there's a little bit of out of bounds weirdness geometry going on. What I'm looking for here is an upwarp onto this dark green grass platform. This is going to start in the loading sequence for Shadow Glen Woods to spawn in. Again, you're normally not supposed to be here. There's a cutscene barrier that prevents you from getting here the intended route, but we're gonna take the backdoor entrance here. And so there is a complete slew of collision going on here. The camera will just do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll just get random upwarps here. And my goal is to go to a very specific spot out of bounds here in order to hopefully get upwarped back up here. And then this wall is not solid from the other side, so that gets us back in bounds. And so from here, the whole reason we came all the way out here is for this yellow flower right here, which, totally won't be important later. So just keep that one in the back of your head. It will be on the test later. And so from here, this is actually gonna look fairly normal for a little bit. We're gonna be running back out of Shadow Glen Woods because this is not where we wanna be. And so what I'm gonna be doing is, I mentioned earlier that there's like this cutscene that prevents you from entering this area until you've done the appropriate main story quest. I'm going to be intentionally jumping as I activate this cutscene. This is gonna activate a weird bug where you're essentially locked at 1/3 of your normal gravity value. And that's a requirement in order to do the next trick we're gonna do, which is called L2 jumps. These are frame perfect inputs, and I'm gonna be doing 2 of them, where I need to do a jump while I'm running with L2 and do the jump on the frame after I release L2. So it's a bit tricky to line up, so we'll see if we get this. There's the first one. So I need to re-grab this ledge to reset my gravity back to 0.30, and that water no longer exists.
That's so hard. You people have no idea how tricky that is.
Yeah, and you also have to be a bit careful here because if you're not running fast enough through the water, you can't get the up warp that I just did there. And so that essentially skips a bridge platforming parkour segment, and we just don't have to do that at all. So now we're making our way into Meridel after a little bit of a detour here. Gonna jump into that leaf moat in order to skip a line of dialogue, and then as I enter Meridel, which is our next primary destination, I'm opening the consumables menu and then holding down square. Now, we're not exactly sure why this glitch works, but essentially by doing this, whenever this cutscene spawns a line of dialogue, or just any unprompted dialogue in general appears on screen, if we're still holding down the square button, which is what I'm doing right now, it'll instant skip all of the dialogue and do it so even faster than like a cast level master just pounding the square button could possibly do. So we're gonna see this cutscene here where there's gonna be a package that just comes flying out of our pockets that we never picked up because we're expected at this point to grab like a package that we're supposed to deliver from our family to a shop in Meridel Village here, but yeah, we never did that. So the package just appears out of thin air. And now we're coming up on one of our favorite parts of the game, the orchestral strings with these thieves here. So
I love that. Like, they clearly mean for this to be like some sort of encounter, but he just always runs to a location that you can see, so there's no like tension in it. So it just has this hilarious... I love it so much.
Yeah, so the reason that we need to go all this way here is because we need to open up the shops, and they only open up after we see and skip this full motion video cutscene. And then once we open up the shops, we can do a very, very broken glitch that I'm gonna pass over to corundumcore to start explaining.
Yeah, absolutely. So the yellow flower that we grabbed in the Act 3 kind of area, we are going to turn that into this potion shop to get 500 Neopoints, which are the currency. And the way that happens in the game code is that the text box gets loaded into memory, and then at the end of it, it gives us those 500 Neopoints. Now, the end of that won't get overwritten if we use a shorter text box to fill in that space when we talk to somebody new. So we're going to go to a specific NPC, who's this Drake guardsman over here, and he's got a shorter hitbox, so we're going to hold down X, which is going to allow us to skip over the end of that text box and dupe these Neopoints. So we've got to get to 11,000 Neopoints right here, so now would be a fantastic time for donations.
All right, we have $213 from the Upstate Rivals crew.
Yo! Oh my goodness.
Hey Jaxler, wanted to drop a dono during your run since we know how special this is for you. We're so proud of you for being there and doing your thing for a great cause. Best of luck on the run. We miss you so much. Come back and visit soon. Much love from Shotglass, No Names Bagel, Small, Tomahawk, Hanarton, Slagosicator, Dirk Dukurski, Myrma, Cobalt, Game for Thought, and everyone else that wasn't awake at the time I, Shotglass, orchestrated this donation.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, everybody. Those are some of my best friends on this freaking earth. Thank you so, so much. Shout outs to Upstate Rivals. We're the best. Best region. So, with all that money that we just duplicated out of thin air, we stole out of the guard's pocket there, we're gonna crash the Neopian economy with it. We're gonna start that process by buying a sword. We were supposed to get one by doing sort of the intentional tutorial sequence and get a wooden sword that kind of stinks. But with all the money that we raised here, we can go ahead and get ourselves...
He gets me every time.
Every time you enter this building.
Inga jump scare. We need a shield from her. You're kind of expected to do an arena fight in order to get that because you start the game out broke, but we made money out of thin air. So you'll probably notice that we still have like 10 grand in our pockets, which I don't know how that isn't slowing Tor down, but that's besides the point. We're immediately gonna blow all of this money on consumable items. The first thing you'll see me grab are 2 potions of power. These are gonna double our attack damage in very key fights. So it's important that we grab these now. They're 400 apiece here. Gonna grab the second one, and then we're gonna use the rest to buy these potions of Mirka speed. So you probably saw me use one earlier. It allows us to run mega fast, super speed. And this is almost double your normal running speed, so we grab a whole bunch of them so that we can move super duper fast over the course of the run. And now that we're geared up and good to go, we're gonna do another major sequence break here. So we're gonna be attempting to go to an area of the game that is normally only accessible in Act 3 while we're still in Act 1. And that's because we want the main quest reward that we get from sort of doing that sequence and completing that area. And I'm gonna be going for a YOLO strat here. I'm gonna see if I can do an unbuffered frame perfect trick here. And if not, there's a really easy pause buffer setup. Shout out to the Monster for finding that. But let's see if we get the YOLO jump. 1,000. That's way too low. Okay.
That's all right.
All good. So what I'm gonna do instead is turn around, wait a little bit, and then I'm gonna pause buffer until a very specific visual cue with the water right there. That's a frame perfect trick that we made really easy because we lagged the game into being several frames, Anyway, so we are out of bounds here yet again, and I have to do very careful loading zone manipulation because I am attempting to get into the abandoned mines here, and there is a slew of bad geometry that I don't want to upwarp into, some of which can even insta-game over me because it's a river, and that just happens. So I'm gonna take this a little safe here. I'm gonna go around kind of this giant stone block here and go around the side. I'm looking for an upside down cone to do my next upwarp onto, looking for a camera cue here. That's the one. We're gonna start moving, and that gets me up here, not out of the woods yet. We're looking for another bit of geometry to load in, and right about now, I stand on top of it and then fall off the side of it, so that's the most recent piece of geometry I touched, which is then gonna cause this black void to appear. That's the abandoned mines that we wanna go to. Gonna shimmy to the side here, do a little bit more out of bounds movement, pop another potion, and then I just jump and we're back in bounds. There we go. Okay.
That is so hard to do.
And as we make our way into the abandoned mines, you're gonna see Jax jump into what is known as a dark moat. Just keep in mind, there's a lot of moats here, and we're just gonna be collecting them for just later on in the game. Right now, you're gonna see him run over all of these little bumps. Now, there's a mechanic in this game called auto hopping. Whenever you go over even a tiny little bump, it'll cause you to auto hop. And whenever we hop, when we have a Potion of Miracle speed equipped, we will slow down to our base for movement speed until we land. So we don't want to hop at all, and the way we get around that is by holding down the L2 button, which is the strafe button. The strafe button essentially just allows us to avoid all auto hops in the game, and we're going to be using that in order to just walk over these rails without hopping as much. And right now we're making our way to a boss that is you're actually meant to fight in Act 3, but we're going to be fighting him in Act 1. And so that means we're very, very under-leveled, and it's a little scary, but it's actually not going to be scary because we're going to do a technique here where with the attack. So Tor has a 3-hit combo, and essentially with this 3-hit combo, you can pull up the shield, cancel it, and then basically just stun lock the chieftain. And we're fighting him because we need to save the village chief to unlock the next, to unlock something very special. So right here you see the auto cancel. He's just getting stun locked. He can't do anything about it. He's throwing his axe up. He can't. He's like, please let me hit you. I can't.
Nope.
And he's dead.
Nope. Not allowed.
All right, and so this whole section can be really scary as well because we're dealing with lava, which is an instant game over. And on top of that, whenever you have Potion of Miracle Speed active, there's just a 50% chance that your auto hops fail. So I'm jumping intentionally really early here in order to make my way through here much safer. And then I'm gonna set up another one of those dialogue test skip glitches mid-air, which is a lot scarier than I just made it look, where you basically commit to the jump and then you're kind of wrapping your left index finger onto the D-pad while you're still holding forward with your left thumb. It's kind of a nightmare to input, but I managed to get it there okay, which probably a little too risky for GDQ, but showing off. And so we're gonna be running our way back into Kogum here to pick up our reward. So this would be another good time to squeeze in a quick donation.
All right, first I'm going to check in on that Blip Mission incentive. We are almost halfway to meeting that $2,000 incentive. So if you happen to be donating for your favorite Neopets, like I see many of you are right now, remember to add in that incentive to your donation if you would like to.
All right, and so I do another little water warp right there, as we call it, just when we fall into the river there in order to reset ourselves to a slightly closer destination. And we picked up 2 more moats there. Those are Nova and Supernova moats. They are super effective against every kind of Neopet. No, just the monsters. We don't actually attack the Neopets. I just had to make the joke. We're gonna set up another tech skip glitch here, and we are going to be picking up the reward. There's Tad, the lad. We love Tad in this house. And so you might be wondering, with all that work that we did to go out of bounds and do all of this nonsense, what is this ridiculously broken and powerful reward that you get? And so let's see what the mayor gives us here, huh? Wait for it. We get a potato sack.
Let's go.
And this is not just any kind of potato sack. This is a magical potato sack that will allow all of our hopes and dreams to come true. And I'm going to let Ruby explain a couple of the properties of it.
Yes, so the potato sack or the Cloak of Heroes is a different model when Tor puts it on. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap to that model by putting on the potato sack, immediately swap back with an attack. That's going to cause a lot of lag because we're working with PS2 hardware. And we're going to use that lag to our advantage to buffer a jump and a select press at the exact same time. Then we're going to do another jump in the pause menu and basically double our momentum there. So we jumped over an invisible wall and we got to where exactly where we wanted to be.
Or, please?
I've never seen that before. That's
happened to me before, but never that much. So yeah, no, that's just one example of what the Cloak of Heroes is capable of. And we really want the Cloak of Heroes because that's going to let us get to the next part of the run. Our major goal after getting all the equipment we need is just to go through each act as fast as possible here. And now that we have the cloak, we can do that because the end of Act 1 is triggered by defeating a specific boss named Narfus in Illisen's Glade. And for the couple of you here that have played this game casually, you may remember that in order to unlock Illisen's Glade, you have to become a squire and do all this main quest nonsense. And it's really fun casually, but it's a lot for speedrunners, so we just don't want to do it. So what we're gonna do instead is a really cool trick. If you've ever seen a run of this game or have just heard about me info dumping about it in a GDQ practice room or something, you've seen this trick. It's called ledge flying, probably the most famous trick in this game. And it's similar to a mega jump, but instead what we're doing is we're buffering a jump during that lag and also triggering Tor to fall down and grab the ledge at the same time. And that's gonna combine the momentum from the jump with the unique properties that you have during the ledge hang animation. So you're gonna see me get a very specific spawn on this ledge. For this specific one, it depends on the ledge fly. I'm gonna grab the ledge here. This is gonna put me right on the edge here for a horizontal ledge fly. And we're going flying.
Let's go.
Very nice.
Yeah, and another funny property of that glitch is you just have no clip while you have that because you don't have the same level of collision that you do when you're grabbing ledge, so the ledge wouldn't fail. And so we're gonna see another cool set of upwarps here. The treetops at the top where Narfus is barely, oh, that was good.
That's so hard to do.
Yeah.
It is really hard.
How do you make all these tricks look easy?
I have been playing this game for 5 years.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Well,
Speedrun wise, I've been playing this game since I was 7.
Okay, that's also fair.
Yeah.
People always wonder oh, why do you play this game? And I'm I grew up with it.
It's good.
It's so good though.
This game is so cool.
Yeah, speaking of cool, this is one of my favorite strats in the run. We're gonna be doing an upwards ledge fly here. I'm going to be doing a sword slash in order to put myself away from the ledge. This adjusts the angle that we're gonna get the ledge fly at, and we're gonna go flying. Because of all the stuff that we skipped that I didn't even have time to talk about, the boss doesn't trigger properly, so we have to go back to the start to hit the correct loading zone for it, and then we just float our way into the boss trigger, and I'm gonna pop this potion of power here, and if I do this right, the boss will just evaporate immediately. So let's hope that Narfus cooperates here. All right. Oh, he's not gonna cooperate. That sucks.
That's so tragic.
We'll see if we can get some multi-hits here. Yeah, no, he's gonna be a jerk today. Of course.
That's all right. So what's possible to happen is you basically do a quick stab, and similar to the infinite sword glitch in Zelda games, we basically hit with the attack on consecutive frames and just melt Narfus. We're also going to be trying to make sure that we do not get hit at all during this fight, or 3 times I think is what triggers Yep, 3 times will trigger the cutscene. So we just want to avoid getting hit by that 3rd attack.
I'm
so
literally learning this right now.
There we go.
There we go.
You're telling me I just had to avoid getting hit?
Yes.
Yes.
It's not.
Don't
It
get
is.
hit, man.
It is
I don't
not
get hit.
easy to do that.
No,
though.
it's not. His hitboxes are huge.
Yeah.
It is ginormous.
And the auto aim that you have when you're doing your 1-2-3 combo just doesn't work on him for some reason. It's very weird.
Yeah, so now that we've done that boss fight, we have hit the crucial story flag that we need to get to the end of Act 1, but there's some complications to it, and I'm just gonna hand this segment off to Nestani because this is really hard.
Yeah, so basically after we defeat Narfus, there's a thing where we basically have to reset because there's a weird bug where we basically just have to pick up an item and it will reset our gravity, I believe. And
Oh
so
my lord.
we got a lot of them.
What a
So that's-
drop.
That'll be good for marathon safety.
That's true. We have a lot of them. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to do another ledge fly out of bounds. And right now we're trying to get to Mirrodale Castle. And then we're going to do another ledge fly out of bounds. And then we're going to immediately run towards this. So there's a lot of things going on here. This starts very hard because essentially there are a lot of different loading triggers that Jax needs to hit in order. And if he accidentally hits a different one, it starts triggering a chain reaction, which is very bad. And so the reason that we can go to Mirrodale Castle because there's a leftover trigger in the game that the devs left over that we can basically use to get to Mirrodale Castle. And another part of this is that, well, that's it. That's basically the part of it, is that we're just going along these very specific loading triggers. And right here, you're actually going to see there's a little slit up there. You saw it for just a second. If he's too far to the left or too far to the right, he'll upwarp to a wrong loading zone, and then he'll load in the wrong thing. And so it's actually a very, very tight line that he's walking there, and right now he's going to inch his way over here. And another part of this trick is that you have to do it fast enough because you're trying to beat the PS2 load times. As you can see, the screen flickers in and out.
All right, there we
Should
go.
be looking good. And if we do this correctly,
Yeah, we got the out of bounds.
we got
too.
it out of bounds. Let's
Inside
go.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's actually, I probably shouldn't have gone for that, but that's really risky because if you're just a little bit further, then it just doesn't give you the warp.
But swag.
It's
It's
swag.
oh, it's so swag.
It's so cool.
We're so back.
We are
bed
so
on that,
back.
by the way.
And right here, we're going to do another ledge fly. And the thing to note in Mirrodale Castle, we are the y=0 plane is above. It's fine. We're just going to fall down into the loading zone that we want to hit, which will trigger the first sisters fight of Act 1. Now, this is the last fight in Act 1, but since we're super underleveled and we can't fight them, we're just going to leave. And we're going to go flying right into the trigger. But this is very, very difficult because this ottoman is very small. We have to get to the very edge of it. And these guys are shooting at us, and we
good.
can actually get shot out of the air. But if we do
First
this
try.
perfectly, oh no, we don't have
Wait.
the text box pops up. So the text box can sometimes pop up. At the
I
text
looked
box
away.
pops up, it can interrupt our ledge fly, as you saw. And so there's that text box to interrupt it. This ottoman is just really abysmal to try to get on, and then we're also getting shot at. And so if you get the wrong
There we
angle,
go.
there we go.
There we go.
And we fly
I'll
through
take
the
it.
wall, we hit the trigger, and now we're in Act 2.
That is literally the scariest trick in the entire run.
It is the
It's
hardest
so
trick
scary.
it's one of the hardest tricks in the game, for sure.
All right, so we have successfully made it into Act 2 here. We're going to get introduced to our second of two playable characters. This is Roberta. She is the niece of the King of Brightvale in the game's lore, and she wants to become a sorceress, but she's kind of getting pushed in this whole diplomacy situation that's really not her vibe, which is such a mood. But in order to get some extra sorcery training in, she left her wand at home. So as a result, we have to go build one from scratch with a bunch of spare parts laying around. These are also really good opportunities for setting up the text glitch as well, because as soon as you run into them, it just spawns the text. And so this is kind of an interesting segment of the run. And what I really think determines like a newer beginner runner from like a high top level runner of this game is that we don't have access to the Cloak of Heroes or any of the speed potions yet. And that is because our two characters merged their inventories together at the start of Act 3. And so luckily for us, Roberta's pockets are loaded because, you know, she's the niece of the king. And so she starts out with 1,150 Neo points, which is actually enough to buy 2 potions of Mirka speed. But we're going to have to conserve them in order to make sure we get the best use out of them possible. And then once we're back in Act 3, we can just kind of spam the potions nilly-willy here. After I grab this tree branch, I'm going to go kind of for I'm going to set this up real quick, see if I can't get this boost. Oh, I got sniped. So there's like a thing you can do there where you use the terminal velocity and hit the bank of that slope in such a way that it all translates into lateral momentum. But unfortunately, I got clipped by a bit of the geometry there. And this cutscene is hilarious in this run because we set up the text skip glitch, and this is going to skip so much text.
I read all this text out loud when I streamed this game. There's so much text in this act, and none of it's interesting.
Speaking of streaming this game, how much of this game have we skipped, like, in hours?
Already, we've probably skipped like a good 8 hours, depending on how you want to count it. And getting the Cloak of Heroes enables like another 10 hours or so.
That's only like a little.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Only like a little. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, so if you think this game looks cool now, crowd, just play it.
do
You're
it.
missing so much.
This game is genuinely, in my opinion, exceptional and very impressive. Given the constraints they were working with to make it, this might be one of my new favorite games. Like seriously,
It's so fun. You know, we're kind of making the game look bad because we're breaking it so hard. But at the same time, that it's just the fact that here's the thing: like when you get a game like this and it doesn't crash, that is legitimately that is a testament to the developers of this game to be able to create a robust enough system to allow us to do ridiculous stuff like this and show it off to y'all. So huge shout outs to the developers working on this all the way back in 2005 and. Like swinging for the fences is the way I like to describe this game. Ruby, do you want to explain what I'm doing here? Because this kind of sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are basically trying to do some shots off screen to attack this spell book. This spell book is probably not going to cooperate because for some reason, enemies have this property in this game called No, You Didn't Hit Me. And sometimes they'll just dodge attacks.
here it is.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
was
It wasn't terrible.
It was decent.
Yeah.
That's another place where, especially the difference between newer runners and top level is a big place where you can see time differentials, just based on, because you can't ever really control how that goes, so you have to learn to adapt on the fly there. Yeah. And this is like another really good example of the L2 combat strafe. If Nestani, if you'd be cool going into some more details there.
Yeah, and so the other half of the combat strafe that I didn't mention is that whenever you're turning, you can turn the camera with the right stick, but if you do that while you're strafing, you just sit and turn, right? You don't like keep moving, you just grind to a halt. But if you hold a very specific angle on the control stick, just very slightly left or right of just straight up, and I mean very slightly, like I can barely do it, you can now turn with the camera, which is why you see Jax kind of sliding ever so slightly to the left or ever so slightly to the right, if you notice, before he's turning his camera angle. And we're gonna get another one of these motes again, just setting up for the late game, just because it's a little bit faster just to grab the motes since they're kind of just right there and just jump into them, right? It's
Exactly. I ran into the wall. That's funny.
Let's go, Wolf.
But while we're going to be making our way from cutscene to cutscene for a little bit here until we get to the clock tower where there's another funny thing here. So we can probably squeeze in one quick donation here.
All right, we have $50 from Awa. This game and Neopets in general were so special to me growing up. So happy to see that it has an amazing speed run and it's finally getting some deserved recognition. Best of luck on the run, Jaxler.
Thank you so much. So we're coming up on the clock tower next. I'm doing a bit of a movement optimization there, which is, there's a lot of inputs going on there for like half a second of time save, where I'm opening the consumables menu again to do a text skip, but I'm also holding down L2 in a very weird angle in order to allow me to run mid-air there, which is typically called a text jump. You can go for one at the very start of the run as well, but you have to kind of get lucky and get a villager to spawn in. And then we're gonna go into the clock tower and we're gonna see kind of one of the funniest like bugs or more so oversights that this game has to offer. It's really easy. Anybody can do it. Tempe literally found it by accident.
I found this. Yeah, this is very funny. You can cancel the the push block sliding animation with itself in another direction, which I discovered just by accident. But I did it on like the slowest push block in the game, and these ones are a little fast. But the ones we're about to do in a second are even fast. They're very funny.
Yeah,
you'll see.
Roberta makes very funny, aggressive grunting noises, and it just kills me every time I get a run to this point.
Any grunters in chat? Anyone grunting?
Oh my lord! But yeah, no. The whole reason we come through here is because there's the old lady whose cat we were supposed to save. Got imprisoned by the darkest Faerie, and we're trying to create a distraction. Yeah, no, we're not gonna save the lady's cat, and then she's gonna be like, yeah, thank you for saving our cat. Nope. And so, yeah, hold on, there we go.
And also, what you're going to see Jax do here through this cutscene, he's actually going to hold down right on his control stick, and you're just going to see him just walk up the stairs. That's because a lot of times you're going to see it a couple more times in this act alone. But you can kind of just move during the start of cutscenes, and you can just go halfway up the stairs, just, before the cutscene loads, which is very nice for us.
Yeah, so we got a pretty significant running segment here. Nothing that we haven't already explained in terms of like movement and inputs. So Musical Daredevil, the floor is yours. You got like a minute or two here.
All right, we have $25 from Unicorn. Super excited to see some Neopets love. This is genuinely one of my favorite games. It has so many great memories. My favorite Neopet species are Eunice and Piaffins.
Good choices.
We also have $50 from Seb and Alex.
Let's go.
Hey Jax, we've been watching all week to donate during your run. So great to see the whole Rochester GDQ crew and the audience cheering you on in person. Best of luck to one of our favorite runners. Yeah, shoutouts to Rochester GDQ crew.
Thank you so much, Seb and Alex. Love you so much. You can keep going.
All right, we have $20 from Segastar.
Yo.
Hey Jaxler, Pika Blanket in the crowd watching this run. Glad I've got to talk to you throughout the week. Congrats on the run, break this game. One more?
Oh, keep going. You got
All right.
2 more.
We have $25 from Monster 860.
Yo, let's go!
I am absolutely thrilled that this game finally gets to be shown at GDQ after so many years. Good luck to Jaxler. This game has inspired me so much, and I learned so much trying to extract every little secret from the depths of this game's code, and this game truly means a lot to me. All hail the oubliette.
I hope you like their shirts, Monster. Big shout outs to Monster 860. We'll shout her out at the end of the run as well, but she is responsible for so much of what you saw during this run. So huge shout outs to her, and thank you for donating as well. Yeah, so we're making our way to the end of Act 2 here. We went down the endless staircase, and then we're going into Act 3. So literally as soon as we get Tor back, things are going to get ridiculous again. And I'm probably just going to let Nestani carry me through here on this one because it's really tricky here.
Yeah, so at the start of Act 3, both of our heroes come together and we combine inventory. So now we have access to our America Speed potions again, so we can just start zooming. And at the beginning of this level, we're gonna do a ledge fly out of bounds immediately. This is because we have to do a fight. And essentially these enemies are very high level because we're in Act 3, we still have Act 1 equipment. And similar to the Sisters fight, they're shooting at us while we're trying to get out of bounds and fly. And that's not very good for us because if we get shot out of the air, we just die.
There you go. Like that.
And then we have to retry the trick. This is very abysmal. I remember trying to learn this the first time, and I just could not do it at all.
Very good.
And then right here, very nicely done, you're going to see him go for a while and then zip back. That is because he just kind of zips back after a while. It's just the property of the game. It'll just end the ledge fly eventually. And then he's going to make his way through here, and then he's going to set up another mega jump. And then he's going to make his way to Mirrodale Castle again. And after he does this, I'll hand it back to Jax.
Oh, we got it.
Very
nicely done. So one of the things with mega jumps in this game is that the height that you get is dependent on what your gravity value is. And what I generally try to do there is interrupt my ledge grab like I was doing at the very start of the run to lock in a 0.30 gravity. But unfortunately, it didn't give me the gravity I wanted, but I still managed to get the correct height that I needed to grab the ledge. That's like a really scary backup that you have to go for there. So really glad that I managed to hit that. So the funny thing about Act 3, there's like so many places you get to go, all these cool sites you get to see, all these different villages you get to save. And unfortunately for Act 3, its ending happens to be in the same place of Act 1, which is Mirrodale Castle. And if you remember, we have a debug loading zone that was left over by the game's devs that we can use to just get in there without having to do any of that. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. But we're going to be approaching this from a different direction. This setup is a lot easier to do, and this is the setup that I teach new runners as well. We'll mention the tutorial a little bit later. But we're going to essentially be going through some more loading zones. These are a lot more lenient than the first setup you saw in Act 1. And again, looking for a very specific thing in order to upwarp onto. And we have a lot more free time in order to get to that loading zone trigger. The thing that's harder about this strat is getting the out of bounds. I'm not going to go for it on this one because it is very risky here. So I'm waiting for that water to disappear in the back. And then I'm going to swap to my cloak. No, the game did not crash. It's just trying to load because it's PS2 hardware.
Let's go PS2.
And now we're back inside Mirrodale Castle in Act 3. And so inside Mirrodale Castle is where things get really funny because there is a very difficult boss fight that we're going to completely obliterate. So as we saw in Collapse, they do a lot of damage and they're kind of supposed to be invulnerable at the start until you kind of solve a short, tiny little puzzle. We want nothing to do with that, so I'm gonna do a ledge fly at a downwards angle into the stairwell right here. This is going to take me with the up warp to the y=0 plane, and this lets me just fall into the boss arena for free. And as we make our way into the King's Chambers here, you're going to notice that something isn't quite right with them. And that's because we skipped so many different like triggers and loading zones that their AI just has not activated, but you know, we can still just wail on them like this. So yeah, we just get to do this, and unfortunately we cannot kill them in this state because their like AI to like trigger the end cutscene there doesn't quite work yet. And so we'll need to backtrack our way through there in order to get everything to line up properly. But the reason we do this is we can bring all of these three sisters down to essentially 1 HP, and that allows us to one-shot each of them. This fight is extremely dangerous. We are super under-geared at this point in the game. And we're just gonna take care of them just like that, and then I'm gonna let corundumcore pick it up from here.
Yep, so we're gonna do a really quick Ottoman ledge fly again. We're gonna do a displacement angle ledge fly, which is so basically what happens is you shift the left stick in the middle of that trick to change your angle, and we are going into what we call the minion gauntlet. So we're first going to get attacked by 3 minion warriors. We're gonna try and get a freeze and hit multiple.
We got 2,
We
that's
got
really
2,
good.
That's pretty good. So.
Oh, and he cooperated
Wow,
too.
Oh,
was
that was
so good.
So clean, actually. So we kind of mentioned earlier that sometimes enemies just refuse to get hit. Thankfully, the brutes are a little bit easier on that, but this next set that's going to show up, the artillery, are notoriously bad. We swapped.
We're gonna jump over that attack. Okay, I'm gonna heal real quick.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to those strike nades that we got earlier. Those are basically at our level a full HP restore. And then I need this other one to spawn in here. Where did he go?
Hello, sir.
Usually
Please
spawns through the floor, right?
Yeah, he just shows up when he feels like it.
This
Yeah.
guy's been like
What is
going
he
up
doing?
really
It
late
disappeared.
recently.
Oh, there he
There we
is.
go.
There he is.
Okay.
Hello.
So we're
Oh,
using...
I got the darkness. Dang it. Oh, he threw me.
Oh no!
A command grab.
All right. All right.
Oh, nice
So,
cancel.
yes, there's a reason why we call this the gauntlet. This is actually a really scary fight. We're using a light mode to get a little bit more damage out of this because this brute is a dark type enemy. And so we do a little bit more damage with light, and now we are swapped to a water mode?
Wind mode.
Wind mode, okay.
And the thing to note about this darkness effect is that it lowers your damage output. So this fight's going to take a little bit longer, which is just unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. And these minion artillery will move around so much. They'll just be hopping around, going to random
so
corners.
God, he went to the chest.
Oh, no, he's gone. He's going for a run.
He's running. Chase him.
And the auto target that you have, just like on Narfus, it just doesn't work on these guys, which sucks because when they shoot like 1,000 projectiles, and these guys apply poison, and the poison is dangerous at this level.
There we go.
All right.
Oh, and he's managed to save my wind mode there too. That's really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So we want to make sure that we have at least one of every moat type for Act 4. So being able to save one is going to save a little bit of time.
So
Yeah.
right here, we're going to go into the risky sister spouse fight. Again, they're all 1 HP, but we are also kind of 1 HP. So we're going to kind of be doing these little hops and trying to avoid them. And we're going to be eating food every time we get hit because, we're just trying to avoid them as much as possible.
There we go.
Trying to
Nice.
Nice.
hits, and then we're good, and we're out of it.
All right, so we got a little bit more to Act 3 here. Something that we're going to notice here is probably one of the easiest out of bounds in the entire game. We are going to take up, this is actually possible in Act 2, but it's extremely risky, so we don't go for it, like even in world record attempts. Yep, there we go.
There you go.
Nice.
In and out.
In and out.
10 seconds. Thank you.
Yep, freebie. And so we're going to see something here called the Endless Staircase. We saw it in Act 2, but essentially the way it works is that in appearance is an endless staircase, and the path that you're supposed to go up and down the staircase is dependent on which palm is open on the statue in the middle. But it's a set pattern every time, like a combination lock. So if I know the exact threshold for where it's going to swap over between up and down, then I can just go back and forth between that threshold immediately. And you can see Roberto's character model kind of freak out there a little bit just because it's kind of reloading that room a little bit there. And as we're making our way to the end of Act 3 here, this would be another really good time for donations before the end of the run.
All right, we have $50 from Weffels.
Yo, my boy.
Hey, Brody, if you thought I wouldn't stay up until these unruly hours to watch the GOAT play, checks notes, Neopets the Darkest Faerie, you'd be sorely mistaken. Shoutouts to Upstate and good luck on the run.
Huge shout outs to Upstate. Thanks, homie. You can keep it going for one more.
We have $25 from Jillian. It's so cool to see Jaxler play Neopets at GDQ. Good luck and have fun, Upgamer.
Thank you for the Upgamer. All right, so this combination lock is really easy. It's left, left, right. And then because we're doing so well on Mirka's speed potions and like sort of our routing, I can pop another one right there. It only saves like a second or two, but hey, freebie. And so now we're gonna completely break open Act 4. This is what tempystral was referring to earlier when we're gonna skip even, like set up to skip even more hours of the game. Act 4 is when you get introduced to Altador, which is kind of like where this game ties into like the website, sort of with like the new content update it was doing with Altador. And you're supposed to like save all these different like sectors of Altador from the Darkest Faerie's influence. And it turns out that similar to a Ratchet and Clank game, the end is right near the beginning and we just fall into this elevator and save, I don't know, how many hours?
Like 10?
It's not even the hours, dude. It's the hedge maze. It's the hedge maze with the Draken Axe. It's the flip tile maze. It's the combat trials.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Dude, there's so... I do like this game, but this act has a couple rough spots, and we just clip through the floor.
Yep.
And
right
we're about
to the
to clip
end.
through the wall.
And we're about to clip through again.
Yeah, so this is the last cloak tech of the run. We're going to see a mega jump here. And this wall does not exist. Woo! And Nestani, you got this?
Yeah. So now we're down at the bottom. So the reason we want all these moats is because we need to activate all of these guys. Now, the way you see Jax doing this is that he's doing some very convoluted menuing with his speed pot. And if he does this cleanly and efficiently, he can get all of this with the speed pot active and he doesn't have to exit again. He did, but that's okay. In that menu, you actually swing using the R2 button rather than the R1 that you normally swing with. And it just, you know,
Do that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how you swing with the menu open. Yeah.
I've learned something brand new about this game every single day. I was like, I learned all the new stuff when we were in the practice room, and I won't have like a genuine reaction. And here I am learning you can swing with R2.
And the Narfus fight, the Narfus cutscene.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just learning things all day. And now we're gonna approach the last, the final boss. And this boss kind of was a little rushed in development. So in theory, it should be a pretty straightforward boss fight, but sometimes this boss can go very, very wrong. But what you're gonna see Jax do is face away to get the
Quick spin one.
The quick spin, and then he's gonna turn around, and basically the turnaround forces her to shoot him. And then he turns back around, reflects it to her, and he's using the supernova emote to reflect it back. And the reason why we try to turn around is so she doesn't spawn enemies. And once she spawns an enemy, it goes awry. And this is where it starts to get a little complicated, but hopefully Jax clutches this out. After you get 3 hits, all you need to do is hit her one time with reverter, and we're done.
Nice.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the boss fight.
All right, so we're gonna defeat the Darkest Faerie here, and we've got one last potion of Miracle Speed here for when we swap to Roberta. That's an automatic phase change where it auto swaps you characters. So we're gonna go through this, fade to black, and then there will be a cutscene that we skip, and time is coming up very soon. It's when the game begins to fade to black after we enter the final cutscene here. So get ready on time in a couple seconds here. Get ready? And time. All right, we did it. Oh, that was a 41-48. That's really good.
Very good.
Especially with how much the game was trolling you today, that is so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and also shout outs to the Faerie, the Great Faerie, with the biggest forehead I have ever seen in a video game. we stand Queen Faerie in this house, but geez Louise. And we put her in a statue, and she's at the fountain now, so woo! All right, that was Neopets, the Darkest Faerie, everybody. I want to give some shout outs here and try to wrap up decently quickly so we can get things a little more back on schedule. I want to shout out my couch for just being super supportive of me and working so hard with me to make this what it was. We've been putting a lot of effort in behind the scenes to make this as hype and exciting as possible. So really grateful to have some of the best friends in my life here with me right now. I'd like to shout out some of the community as well. I want to shout out Venick and Cole, who were people who did a lot of work early on in the game's history, especially Cole. He discovered all sorts of stuff like the ledge flying, a lot of early out of bounds and routes and stuff. And just huge thanks to them for making this community what it is and getting the ball rolling. I want to shout out Charles as well, who has been pushing me so much as like a competitor and as a friend, and has found so many cool like little micro optimizations. And also I want to shout out Monster 860, who I mentioned earlier when she donated, but she wrote an entire suite of practice tools by herself in C for a PS2 game with no documentation or outside help. And if that didn't make any sense to you, just know that that is ridiculously difficult to do. And she did it by herself of her own volition because she just wanted to learn more about the game and help out the community. So, and she's also responsible for like, I don't know, 40 minutes of time save in this run.
Yeah, can we get some hype for Monster in the crowd?
Absolutely.
Clap for that.
Yeah, just a huge shout out to the community for this game. We have a community Discord that you can find through speedrun.com, and you don't have to be a speedrunner to be a part of it. We have a lot of modders, modelers, and just fans of Neopets and this game specifically that are all in there. It's a super inclusive community, and we really hope that you join us. If you're really interested in learning this game, I have a slightly out-of-date tutorial on my YouTube channel that is oriented towards beginners and does a lot easier stuff than what you saw me do in this run. And then I guess last but not least, if you really enjoyed this run, I'm Jaxler. You can find me at twitch.tv/Jaxler1. This game is really important to me, and I literally yelled when I saw that this got onto the schedule. So I just want to thank everyone at GDQ for giving our communities this opportunity, because it's a Neopets game. What are you going to expect? But it just turns out to be one of the sickest speedruns I've ever seen.
The greatest furry 3D Zelda.
It really is.
Oh my goodness. Shout outs to the crowd that came here at like 6 in the morning to come watch this too.
Yeah.
You're all are the best.
Shout outs to the Speedruns Rochester community. We don't have much of you here in the crowd this time, but I know you're watching at home.
And then, shout outs to Rochester Rivals as well. Again, y'all are the best. Thank you for supporting me and letting me play weird games that nobody's ever heard of. That's going to be it for us, everybody. We really hope you enjoyed. We hope you enjoy the rest of this final day of GDQ, and thank you for spending your time with us. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Take care.
GG, Jaxler, on that run of Neopets and taking apart so many people's childhoods. We have $19 from Pigfish99. As a Neopets player for 19 years, of course I have to donate. The best Neopet species, Zafara, and the best color is Jelly, if Jelly World actually existed. Donating to the blimp in Tony Hawk's Underground. And yes, we are so close on that complete the blimp mission incentive. We have raised $1,600 out of a $2,000 incentive. So if you'd like to see that incentive get met, get your donations in and get that incentive applied while we at SGDQ take a quick break. Welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick, where we are inching ever closer to getting that Complete the Blimp mission incentive met. We are so close. We have less than $200 to go, but that incentive needs to be met in the middle of our very next run of Tony Hawk Underground. So you do not have much time if you want to see that Complete the Blimp mission incentive get met. We have $50 from Signata. Sad I missed the Loom playthrough, but stoked to see Neopets. I started playing in 2001 and still stop by the site every so often. I love my Eries, and shout out to my old guild where the shadows run screaming. Incentive goes to completing the Blimp mission because we need more GDQ. We have $25 from Jason T. One Blimp mission all day, chef. Thank you both so much for those donations towards the Blimp mission incentive. We have a $25 anonymous donation. Thanks once again for a wonderful week of speedruns. We have an anonymous $50 donation. You got me, chefs. I'm guilty of skirting the Zelda tax all this week. Here is all my due revenue and a bit more interest on top. Less than 3. And if you happen to be playing Tears of the Kingdom yourself while you are watching GDQ, feel free to get a $5 donation in and apply that donation, of course, to completing the Blimp mission. If all of you donated $5, I'm sure we could get that Blimp mission incentive met pretty quickly. We have $10 from Cheeseface, first-time donator, and as always, GDQ is an absolute blast. These out-of-bounds tricks are amazing. Best of luck to all the runners. We have $15 from Mom6226. Saturday already? There's still plenty of games. Thanks to all for this great event. Good luck, runners. We have $25 from Madoka X Chico. Don't know if it is a thing, but here's my Diablo tax, as I don't play Tears of the Kingdom. Less than 3. And I have great news for everybody. We have met the Complete the Blimp mission incentive. Thank you all so much. We have $20 from Slovenian Husky. Greetings from Slovenia. Doing my part at helping speedrun the donations. Gotta go fast, gotta go donate. We have $25 from Corduroy. Good morning, SGDQ. Good morning, Corduroy. We have $100 from Scoopgoot. I've been loving this past week, and I'm looking forward to the rest of today's runs. So many good games to come. We have $25 from Bruno Fightmaster. Wish I had the chance to watch more live, but I guess that means I will have something to do this next week by watching the VODs on YouTube. Let's finish strong and get those other incentives met. SGDQ hype! We have $25 from Silver Moon 9000. I just had to donate for those adorable Final Fantasy XIV carbuncle keychains. And we have some amazing prizes going on right now, like that $50 Kirby Stitch blanket you can see on our layout, or the $20, or the Moogle art dolls for $20. That is a minimum donation, so if you get your donations in any time that prize is active, you are automatically entered into our drawing to win that, as well as our Chocobo plush you can see on our layout right now. All right, everyone, I've just gotten word that it is time for Tony Hawk. So get your skateboards ready, and I'm gonna hand it over to Big Law with Tony Hawk's Underground.